Many of you have said you enjoy videos that feel like you're sitting and knitting with a friend. Well, that was all I could do during this week of back pain. So this one is really just me sitting, knitting, and talking off the cuff about what's been on my mind. I was on a roll making videos. Things were clicking, and then my back went out. I had all these fun things planned this week to film, and now I can't do them. And that sounds very old-timer of me, doesn't it? My back went out. I don't know, since I was 26, I can do something very physical, crazy seeming, and then 3 days ago I bathed my dog. So it was a big bummer. And then I thought, well, I'll just turn on this camera. So basically I'm doing a knit and chat, even though I mostly unknit and chat. You know, if I'm a good knitter, I'm a bad conversationalist. So this is pretty much stockinette though. There's just like faux purl row seams on the sides, so this works. A minute ago, I tried simple ribbing at the beginning of my Fernwood pocket, my last pocket for that cardigan, and I was screwing up ribbing while I talked. So I was like, oh, I'm hopeless. I'm just gonna pull out the raw tee and work on it. And here is my progress. So much progress. This is what having a bad back will do. It's been nice to have something to work on. And I have to say, I wrote a blog post recently about why I like chainette yarn and why this chainette yarn in particular is my favorite to work with. And I'm not kidding you. This has not bothered my wrists at all. And I've been knitting more than normal. I have had this back problem, and my chiropractor said that I probably store emotional stuff in my hip area. When I get nervous, that's the muscles that tense up, where a lot of people do in their shoulder girdle, you know, my hip area, things will tense and torque, not twerk, torque and shift, like your sacrum, your hips, your low back. And that's probably what happened, along with washing my dog and bending over the wrong way. When I was looking for help on YouTube for my back pain, I went to a physical therapy team that have helped me in the past with just little, aches and sprains and things that you get when you try to be active not even as I get older. And I noticed only one of the men was doing the videos, and as I scrolled through to find out why, the video that explains said that his partner had recently been diagnosed with a ataxia that keeps him from speaking easily. He's lost motor control, of his voice and speech. And it just became so evident in the videos and difficult to produce them that he is just in the background now. And it was kind of sad. And he said one of the things that keep him going is that his children, they're adults, they're watching how he handles this adversity. And he wants to handle it in a way that helps them in the future. I didn't get the help for my back that I needed from them, but I kind of think I needed to hear that. I haven't really been dealing with this in front of my children, but I do have people around me that know, I go through this has been intense, but this hasn't been the same as the migraines. They have been a problem that frightened me and concerned me through the years a lot. And I think that's what my family saw, was me being worried about what does this mean? Where will this end? And at times maybe a little bitter. Why is this happening to me? And it just reminded me, what's done is done. The times where I was just really fearful maybe in the past and dealt with this fear, or the pain with fear, that's done. But I still have the way I behave today that I can work on. And my mom, I saw her, she had terrible migraines all through my childhood, and then she had cancer, and then she had all the cancer treatments, surgeries, chemo. Cancer would return, repeat over and over, all while dealing with migraines. I really don't know how she did it. I mean, she laid in a dark room a lot the last few years of her life and suffered. And she was never mean or cross because she was hurting, ever. And I never heard her talk about hopeless things. She would ask me to rub her head sometimes as I got older, but she never said, why me? She never felt sorry for herself. I mean, she was really an unusually graceful sufferer. I don't think that's common. It was a great example for me. It's one I cannot rise to quite, but I'm thankful for it. When I have migraines or problems like this back pain, I can usually, now with a headache, not always, but usually I can do something at least with my hands. And then I tell myself, you may be out of commission for everything else, but at least you're accomplishing something. It's also soothing. There have also been times of emotional pain in my life, going through grief toward the end of someone's life. You guys know about it. Like, I can look through my Ravelry projects and remember, oh, I made this predominantly in the hospital, or I made this after, my grandmother died. I wrote a blog post about the gather shawl and how I was just thinking about all the friends I had through the making of that, encouraging me as I was grieving the loss of a loved one. And just discuss the nature of online friendships. But there was a time where you can see it, where I was super stressed out and having a lot of emotional pain, along with migraines, the stresses of life. And my projects just exploded. I was making stuff. I was taking test knits left and right during that time, probably around 2014, 2015. It made no sense to be putting myself under deadlines, but I think I just needed the distraction. And I'm not someone who puts off thinking about problems too long, usually. I actually tend to overdwell and ruminate on things until I'm depressed. So for me, learning distraction is an important tool because there are times where you can't really think about hard things. You've got to get supper made, or you're fixing to be around a bunch of people. You don't really want to have red eyes, and I do cry, a lot. I cry when I'm happy, I cry when I'm sad, I feel a lot of emotions. Crying right before bed isn't great because then you can't breathe. And if you get migraines when you cry, which I'm sure a lot of you who suffer with migraines know about, well, then you really don't want to feel too many emotions. You've got to sadly plan when you deal with things. And so knitting is a great distraction. Crochet has proven to be that too. And I also think for those who can't get outdoors easily and be physically active, they say that going on a walk is a wonderful way to just let go of an issue or a problem, whether it's an emotional thing or maybe a business or creative pursuit. You've come up against some problem that you don't know how to solve. They say that going for a walk, doing something physical, purposefully taking your mind off of it can spur creativity and even problem solving. So I find that doing something like this could provide that for me at times. So I can't get out and walk while my back is hurt. I actually can, but one day I did it too much and then it worsened my problem. So I have to be careful as I heal. It's just a pulled muscle. But I can do this, and it has a similar effect as stepping. One step after another, the rhythmic movement of your steps down a footpath. I'm doing something I don't have to look at. This is just I-cord bind off at the end of my raw tee. So you see my first bind off, then you pick up stitches, do this edging, and now an I-cord bind off. It's tedious with these tiny little size ones, but it is very predictable, rhythmic, automatic. And it's the equivalent of a little walk. I wonder if some of you who deal with physical pain or are struggling with some problems, maybe it's emotional things, family issues, maybe it's just like financial stresses or life issues, like how do I solve this? I wonder if you have found that sitting and working on something rhythmic with your hands can lead to, and you just try to clear your mind, it can lead to the solution. But I was so glad I saw the video talking about setting an example. I mean, I don't see myself as some example to others, but there are people in my life seeing how I handle it and what I talk about. And I want to encourage them because they're going to go through it too. So I'm not the suffering saint that my mom was, but I'm also not the worst. I'm not ringing a bell every 5 minutes and screaming at my family to get something for me. I'm not real angry, though there have been times in my life where I was like, why? Why is this happening to me? I suffered for quite some time. When is the easy time going to come? I do feel like there's this name for God, Elroy, and it means the one who sees. I think I'm saying it right. It's like one of those things you read, but you don't actually hear said. I cling to that, though, because he's the one who sees. He saw suffering I went through as a young adult. And then I thought life was going to be easier for me. Like, my time of suffering's over. I'm going to get married and have a family, and it's going to be a sweet home, and I won't suffer anymore. I never said that out loud, but I think I thought that would happen. That's not how life is. But he was the one who saw. And at times I could feel a little annoyed about it. Like, great, you're the one who sees. So you see this. And what are you choosing to do about it? But I don't feel that way anymore. I think I passed a point, that bitterness. Like, oh, I think I left it a while back. I should have. Like, I'm nearing 50. I'm just so glad somebody's there with me through it. I'm just so glad I'm not by myself. And the lack of those bitter feelings has made suffering less bitter. It's easier. It's easier to get through. You don't have to believe in God or my God to know that there's this law of cause and effect in the universe, that dwelling on negative, sad things for too long can make you feel negative and sad, and it's not great for our health. That's just an obvious fact of life, but it has helped me so much to know that he's with me. And then often, several times in my life, after a prayer, I was pointed in a way that was weird and obviously not my own doing or accident to solutions to problems. But pain hasn't completely, eluded me. I still have it. And I don't know, it was a lot to think about. I like thinking that I'm not alone in this. And as you get older, and you're the one people look to, you no longer have those people in life that you looked to when you felt bad, that you called when you were down. It's pretty much just you. Maybe a few family members. It really means something to know that there's somebody who's right there suffering with you. Not that I want anyone to suffer, but you know what I mean. There's someone who's right here with me while I'm suffering. That means a lot. So I don't do complicated things when I'm hurting, at least not with a migraine. With this back pain, I could probably handle something fairly complicated. I have to move quite a bit. I cannot sit still for very long. I have to change the way I sit or even stand and get up and walk a bit. If you're someone like me who tends to overthink about problems and things, I use distractions like reading or knitting. There's always stockinette when you are in pain. So what are some things you turn to when you're in pain? Do you do handwork, or is that difficult for you? Do you do, so we go, do you do handwork or just walk? Read? What do you do? Because like when it's obviously time to think and deal with an issue. I pray, obviously, you know, I've been pretty open about that. But I do problem solving and brainstorming for various problems, if there are things I can do that about. But then when I've done all the thinking I can, I just go to a very positive, wholesome distraction. Like, I don't want to watch something on TV that will just irritate and upset me. I'm not going to watch YouTube videos that discourage or, you know, make me worry. I might watch something soothing, listen to soothing music, go for a walk, or sit down and knit. Knitting outside when the weather is milder with my animals is a real treat. I think my next first person maker, I'm going to take you outside in my sad little yard. It's looking sad right now in the heat, but just show you my plants that have miraculously sprung up this year and how I'm slowly but surely trying to create a low water usage backyard and front yard. I hope your I hope your making is joyful today.